as a mother of a boy, I actually think boys are more sensitive than girls.
Same, yeah.
And I think because we treat boys differently to girls, which I think we should, because girls and boys are different, but not in the way that we do treat them differently now, in that they have different needs and different ways that they need to be loved and all that kind of stuff. I wonder whether it forces boys to grow up thinking, I can't be sensitive because, to use your words, it's weak. And if I'm weak, therefore I'm not a man. And so I just have to like lump it and grab a beer like everyone else does.
Yeah.
And just deal with and just soldier it. And actually suicide is the biggest killer of men under 45 in this country, which is like heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking. There are like husbands, fathers, sons, uncles, like who are not here anymore simply because they were potentially raised in a way that meant that they could never seek help for something that could so easily be fixed.
Yeah. Look, I think you're right, and I think we teach young boys to do that, right? When you get to senior school, or they call it high school now, or whatever, yeah, it's not okay for a boy to cry anymore.
No.
Like,
man up.
You're gonna get shit from your mates, right? When you get to first year high school, you can't cry because you'll get shit from your mates. So what are you gonna do? Well, you'll go to anger. Because if I need to cry in a lesson, I ain't gonna cry. So let me fucking throw a chair or something. Right? It seems like a leap, but I'd rather throw a chair and get thrown out and put in isolation than cry in front of all my mates. So men don't, by the way, find it hard to do emotions at all. Men find it easy, and it's more accepted in our society for men to do emotions than it is for women, right?
I agree with that.
Because go to a football game and you'll find loads of men going through every single emotion, seemingly without control. So they don't find it hard. It's very easy for them. And I run a men's space. When you create the right space for men, that they'll do emotions. We don't have spaces for men to do emotions in our society that aren't football, wedding, or a funeral. And you have to be boozed up to do it. So we need to get better at that. But by the way, I think the opposite is true for girls. I've touched on it already, but I don't think girls are supposed to do anything too big. Like, a boy
because they're more emotional.
Yeah, exactly. Because a boy can throw. Listen, let's take the throwing a chair thing. Yeah, if a boy gets overwhelmed in a lesson and throws a chair, he can do that as long as he toes the line everywhere else. He can do that throughout his whole school life, and it's accepted. Yeah, he get put in isolation, he get told off, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but as long as he toes the line, it's sort of like relatively normal. Still in society today, how many times could a 13-year-old girl throw a chair in a lesson before she's in front of a doctor with everyone saying, she got to be crazy, you haven't seen how angry she is?
Yeah.
So girls ain't allowed anger.
You know what? It's so funny. I did a post on this and it went viral. I said, since when is angry being a bad thing? Like, we're meant, these emotions exist for a reason, right?
Yeah.
If you're angry about something, be angry. If you're sad about something, be sad. If you're happy, be happy. But like, there's no negative emotion. They're just emotions. They're completely fucking indifferent. But it's how it manifests itself.
Exactly.
That's important.
We're scared of anger because we think of rage, right? So when
but rage is not bad. It's an emotion. You're feeling something.
Exactly. And we think of people using it in bad ways. But if you look at the history of society as we know it, look at any big change-making figure, if you want to go down the route of the Bible, yeah, start with fucking Jesus, right? But then you can look at Martin Luther King, look at the suffragettes. All of them are angry. They're angry by what's going on, and they use their anger to motivate them to create meaningful change. Anything good has to have an element of anger in it, because anger motivates you to create the change that's needed. So Martin Luther King, the change that he was creating, he was angry, and fucking right, he was angry. He was appropriately angry, and he used the anger to say no. And so girls in the world that we live in, we need to let them have anger, so that, like, you want to talk about male violence against women and stuff like that. We need to encourage women to fucking get angry when somebody don't treat them right. Not to say that they're emotional, or fucking when something's wrong. And I get stick all the time, by the way, online with the content that I create. I get a lot of people say to me, "Oh, you seem angry," and I'm like, "Listen, I'm talking about abuse, so I'm fucking angry." What my question to you, when we're talking about abuse, is why the fuck aren't you angry?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why aren't you anger gets a hell of a bad rap, particularly in Britain and Western culture, but it's one of the greatest assets. It's one of our greatest assets.
It is one of the greatest motivators, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting actually, because going back to your point about women and, you know, being a father of 4 girls, women are really trained in many ways to be quite passive.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they're not comfortable with something, we're not allowed to say that we're not comfortable. And a really good example of this is I was at an event very recent. I'm not going to say where because I don't want to show anyone up. But again, that's me being really passive because I don't want to upset someone else for doing something wrong. I was at an event recently and I ended up everyone was drunk. I was the only sober one there because I was driving, so I wasn't drinking. And I ended up in a situation where I was surrounded by like 5 men. Mm-hmm. And they were all making incredibly inappropriate remarks to me, bordering on like actually like really fucking inappropriate. Like it was really, really uncomfortable. And I kept trying to leave and they'd be like, no, like classic man, you know, being silly, whatever. And if there had been a group with multiple genders and all that kind of stuff, I think you probably could have gone, actually, they're just being idiots. But because there was 5 of them and 1 of me, mm-hmm. and it was like this constant like poking, I was like, well, in my sober brain, I'm going, well, how can I get out of this situation and pacify them so that they don't get aggressive to me? They would never have got aggressive to me. It was in a fucking corporate event. Mm. But that was my thinking, is like, how can I get out of this, pacifying their behavior so that I don't get hurt?
Yeah.
And that's something that I don't think we talk enough about as women as well as men. Men don't realize how threatening they can come across to women. And that's not because it's for no other reason than I think men are physically bigger than women, and therefore there's very little that a woman can do about it if a man did really want to hurt you.
Yeah.
But we're trained as women to think that we can't speak up about these things, because then you do get people being like, oh, you sound angry, you sound emotional, or like, don't listen to her, like it's just banter, which is what I would have got had I said, guys, come on, like sort your shit out. And I did, by the way. Then I was like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, come on. And I was like, what you just said, like if that was filmed and put out, you'd probably be arrested.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Which, because it is, like you said, they wouldn't have got aggressive, but in a way, it is microaggression, right?
It is. It's you know, standing over a woman, like, you're all taller than me, you're all physically bigger than me, making unbelievably inappropriate comments.
Yeah.
Like, that is a way of being like, come on, like I got you in this situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is very insecure, by the way. If you're a man that feels like you need to do that, you are very insecure.
Men have a tendency to dehumanize women, particularly like powerful and strong women.
Do you think that's because of porn?
No, I don't think it's because of porn.
I had a conversation with someone recently about how, like, that we was with a friend of mine, a guy, heterosexual male, and I was saying, like, what is it about at the minute? Like, there seems to be this very polarizing, like, view on how women need to be treated and how men treat women, all this kind of stuff. And he goes, well, there's a generation of guys learning how to have relationships on the internet. Yeah. And I was like, fair. That's a very valid point.
I think also, like, when you think about like the way that porn is used is that people watch it and then dehumanize what they're watching, right?
Well, this is my point. Totally desensitizes the situation.
Yeah.
Forgetting that it's all fake.
But I also think that a lot of boys learn about women through porn or through other blokes in the pub. Yeah. So in the pub, blokes are talking shit about their sexual experiences, young blokes, yeah, like when they're 18, 19.
Peacocking.
Just talking shit. So if we don't have proper conversations with kids about it, but I think it's deeper than that. Listen, I think that plays a big role. I think also that girls are taught to be passive. I think we have to have proper conversations about what it's like to be a teenage boy, as in honest conversations about it. When you're 14, 15, you ain't thinking about much else apart from that.
Yeah,
as a boy, right? So
my male producer's laughing.
but you're not.
Yeah.
But that's just the truth.
Yeah.
So we either pretend it's not, like we do in our culture, and be like, no, you shouldn't do that. And so
shame.
What happens? Listen, this is what boys go through. Yeah. When I'm a young boy, right, I'm all like, men and women will say about me as a young boy, he's going to be a heartbreaker, all the women are going to be after him, he's going to like get all the girls when he's older. And then as soon as I reach an age where I can actually do something about that, I'm told to fucking stay away from girls. Don't you fucking dare be a womanizer and don't have all the girls around you. So like as a teenager,
It's so true.
it's very confusing, right? And so like to just pretend that teenage boys are not thinking about it, you push it all underground. Yeah. So then boys start to feel a little bit exposed when they're 15 and they can't look at any girl at 15 without, because that's what it's like. So you need proper conversations so that they don't take that, because boys then take that into their adulthood. So then the only way you can do it and still feel like you're a decent person when you're 15 is to desensitize yourself, is to dehumanize all of the girls. Because if you fucking start to know that they're human beings as well, then you're going to feel shit about yourself as a 15-year-old with what's going through your head. And I think a lot of boys take that into their adulthood rather than actually going, listen, you need to be a bit more aware about what's going on, what's driving that and why it's there. And then you can do something about it. But we don't create enough spaces for boys and men to be able to do that.
Do you think in part that's because like women bond by talking, like gossiping, blah, 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 whatever. Like that's how, and that's important for healthy female body and mind, is to have those female relationships where you just talk.
Yeah.
Men don't really do that.
We don't have spaces where men do it.
But do you think that's why, or do you think it's just inherently it's a man thing?
No, I don't think it's inherent.
Yeah.
No. I think it's coaxed out of boys from when they turn to a teenager. Yeah. So like the men's space I run, you can't shut men up. You can't shut them up talking about what they're going through. So we just lack spaces. We lack spaces for men to be able to do it, to have an honest conversation, which is true, I think, of any like moral conundrum that we have within our society, is that if we are all gut level honest, we have a fear of exposing ourselves. We have a fear of being exposed to what really goes on in our head. We all have that. And so you have to create spaces where you can go and go, you know, that thing that you're thinking makes you an awful person. Everyone's thinking it, man. Like, you're not crazy for thinking it. You're a good person because you think it, and then you show up in the world in the way that you do. But shame survives when you can't talk about it. So when you create proper spaces for men to reflect, and like I say, at the men's space that we do, we bring a few questions. We might talk about what you feel most guilty about in your life at the moment, or what's one thing that you need to stop doing that you keep doing. When you create that space for men to explore that, I know what it's like when I'm stood in a circle and a bloke goes, well, I keep doing this and I can't stop and I feel shit about it. And I think, fuck, man, I'm all right, man. I'm all right, because you're like, we're just trying our best. But we lack, not just for men, I think we lack spaces for humans to do that.
Do you feel like you created this men's space because that's something that you would have needed when you were?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like 100%. We've been doing it for like 2 years now, and I think originally I hid as the leader in the group. So like I set this men's space up and was getting men to do all of this work together, and I wasn't doing it myself because I was the leader. So I hid there. So I think in the last 8 or 9 months, I've really pushed myself to come out of the leader role, and I think men do really well shoulder to shoulder. Like, men feel better if they feel like it's a shoulder to shoulder learning experience than they do necessarily if it's like an expert coming and telling them what they should do. So we have a common bond there, and we're trying to be better people, and you can't be a better person unless you're able to be honest about who and where you are.